Hello, everybody. Whoop, let me fix that. There we go. Hello, everybody. RMJ Movie Reviews back. Another movie review. And this time we'll be talking about The Amazing Spider-Man 2. I'm just gonna get right into it. I really enjoyed this film a lot. I've been hearing kind of some internet controversy where people have been saying that they don't like the film. I don't really quite get it because I thought it was a lot of fun. I'm gonna bring in the Sam Raimi films a little bit. I'm gonna talk about the things that I liked about the film and the things that I didn't like, and then I'll kind of segue into some of the Raimi films, and then I'll end the review. Okay, first off, what I really liked about this film, I really liked how Andrew Garfield is. He's not. Now, keep in mind, he is an emotional Peter Parker, like Tobey Maguire's was, but Tobey Maguire just, and although I liked Tobey Maguire and Sam Raimi films, he just had that pissy, poor, doughy-eyed look, and I couldn't stand it. And especially the scene in Spider-Man 3 where Mary Jane broke up with him and he started and he started crying. Oh God, I hate that scene and I hate his crying. Thank goodness Andrew Garfield, when he cries, he doesn't look like Tobey Maguire does when he cries. So, I can get into it a little bit more. Andrew Garfield is a little bit more, because the Spider-Man, how I came to know Spider-Man was from Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends, the cartoon that ran on NBC in the 80s. And so that is how, I don't read the comics. I had a couple of Spider-Man comics when I was a kid in the 80s, but that's how I know Spider-Man is through Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends. And I say Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man, his Peter Parker, and his Spider-Man is the closest to that cartoon series, which I really enjoy. He joked a little bit in the Raimi films, but Spider-Man wasn't the jokester that he is in this one. And I like the fact that he's a goofy one-liner kind of a guy in these films. The other thing I like is that it kind of it very has a colorful aesthetic to it. It looks very much like a comic book. I really enjoy that it looks like a comic book, but it has a slight dark tone. As you remember, the Raimi films, although those films are good too and they feel like comic books, they had kind of a little bit of a goofiness to it, which is typical of Sam Raimi because he kind of puts that goofy edge to his movies unless he's making something like A Simple Plan or something like that. But I really enjoyed that. Jamie Foxx's Electro, when people compare him to Jim Carrey's The Riddler, the only thing I can say is that they're both scientific, nerd, eccentric type of characters. So outside of that, I wouldn't really compare him to Jim Carrey's The Riddler. Jamie Foxx works well with what he has. He's in a nice amount of the film. The actor who plays Harry Osborn, I cannot remember his name. I've never seen this guy before. But I like his Harry Osborn much more than Franco's. James Franco's Harry Osborn. James Franco's Harry Osborn was kind of more of just like a rich, snotty kid. This guy is not a rich, snotty kid. He'd be more like a very... I'd actually compare him to a Columbine kid. This guy's got some issues, man. And when you see his father in the film, you'll understand why he's a little bit screwed up. And the actress, I should know her name, I forget her name, but who plays Spidey's girlfriend, Gwen. I like her much more than, what's the old girl from Interview with the Vampire? Oh, God, I'm forgetting everybody's name today. But I like her, Gwen, better than Mary Jane. I just like the way they play their characters a little bit more. And I also like, this is something that I really, there's two things in particular that I really, really liked about this film. I really like the fact that in this one, the Green Goblin is a goblin. It blew my mind when I saw the O2 version, and I love the first O2 film. I do like that film a lot. It blew my mind as a 21-year-old watching this thing. Excuse me, I was 20. Watching this thing going, why does the Green Goblin have on a goofy looking suit with yellow tinted see-through goggles or whatever they were that go up and down like automatic windows? It was mind boggling to me because prior to '02, when they made that first Sam Raimi movie, we've had the height of the special effects movies in the '80s. We had the Vomit Creature in Poltergeist 2, Pumpkinhead, the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man, the Sloth from the Goonies, Gremlins. All these fantastic practical effects, and it blew my mind the fact that the Green Goblin was in a suit. I just couldn't figure out why he couldn't be a real goblin. So thank God somebody in Hollywood who has the money made the decision to make the Goblin an actual goblin. Thank you for your smart decision, people, and not doing what they did in the '02 film. And the other thing I like is Hans Zimmer's score. Oh man, Hans Zimmer is like he's the new John Williams or Jerry Goldsmith. I mean, all those guys who did those classic film scores back in the day. I mean, this film score, finally, because I don't like the film scores in the Raimi movies, and the one in the first reboot, Spider-Man, Amazing Spider-Man, I can't even remember because I actually only saw that film once. I haven't seen it since I saw it at the theater 2 years ago. But this score is very operatic. It really has that Christopher Reeve, Batman Michael Keaton feel to it, where it's just that operatic, huge feel. I love the score. And at the end of the movie, before the credits, the spider symbol comes out, and it just has this grandiose music. Oh, it's great. This brings me back to movies when I was a kid. I really, really like that. Okay, now we're going to talk about the negative. On the negative, the movie's too long. It's like 2.5 hours. There's a lot of stuff they could have took out. One of the other things I don't like is where was I going? The movie's too long. There's not enough action. Okay, granted, I understand people goes character development. That's all fine and gravy, but I came to see Spider-Man. So granted, they show him enough so that you know it fixes you and you get your little taste. But please, more action next time. And I understand Spider-Man crawls on the walls and all that, but can we incorporate a little bit of some actual fist fights with punches and kicks? Because the whole just jumping from wall to wall and going that kind of gets old. So can we make the action a little bit more diverse next time? There's a good fist fight at the end between Goblin and Spider-Man that I really liked. What's the other thing that I didn't like? I'd probably say this is that it wasn't enough action. It was too long, and I didn't particularly think the story. It's kind of going off of it's segueing from stuff in the first reboot, which is good. It's a continuation of the first film, not a sequel. They continue from the first film. So I mean, I thought the story was okay. I didn't find Harry and Peter's relationship as good as Tobey Maguire and James Franco's, but then again, they had 3 movies to build it. This one, they only have this one, so you're kind of having to build a lot very quickly over a short period of time. But outside of those things, and it looks like there's gonna be a third film. It's gonna happen because they're setting up everything for a third movie. So overall, I really enjoyed The Amazing Spider-Man. Just next time, you could shorten the movie a little bit, diversify the action, kind of make the story a tad bit better, and bump up the fun aspect just a little bit. Don't be so dark and serious. It doesn't go into Dark Knight Rises territory, but it kind of taps in there a little bit. So make it a little bit more upbeat. Make the danger real, but a little bit more upbeat. And the other thing, as far as people saying the tone is all over the place, I don't agree with that at all. I think it's exactly what it should be. Spider-Man is a goofy guy. Harry Osborn is dark and he's sinister. And like I said, when you guys see his dad in the movie, you'll understand why. Jamie Foxx is an eccentric character, like I previously said. But I think that he plays it the way somebody who's has such a smart scientific brain that they can't relate to other people. I used to actually work with a guy like that when I worked in a grocery store when I was 16. I'll never forget this guy named Brian. He looked at us one time and said, "If I was a diabetic, I'd kill myself by eating a whole bag of sugar." And we were just staring at him like, where the hell did that come from and why did you say that? But Brian is probably what Jamie Foxx's character would be in Amazing Spider-Man if he grew up. He turned into Electro. So Brian, if you see this, I'm sorry. I haven't seen you in like 15, 16 years or something like that. But if you happen to do see it, I'm sorry. And but I thought everything was just evened out. Just just kind of fix up some stuff with the story, add some more action. Cut back on the running length. I thought it was a perfect good Spider-Man movie, and I really like that Spider-Man in this. Although he looked like Spider-Man in the first Raimi films, he's a little bit more spider-like in this. Because in the Raimi films, he kind of is spidery, but not like this. In this, he really kind of crawls and hits those positions, and he's a lot more slender than the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man, which he really looks like Spider-Man looked on Amazing Friends, and how he looked on the 90s cartoon that used to come on Foxx, which that was a really bad cartoon. Michael Jackson bad, like good. I love that 90s cartoon. Of course not as much as Amazing Friends, but that was a pretty good cartoon. So yeah, I don't have anything else to really complain about, man. I really like the Amazing Spider-Man. I liked it more than the first reboot. Can I say that I like it more than the '02 version? It's hard to say because the '02 version has a soft spot for me. I love Spider-Man so much, and that was the first big live motion picture Spider-Man movie I saw. So I can't go to say that I like it more than that film, but I think I definitely like the Amazing Spider-Man 2 better than the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man 2, and it's tons and tons better than Spider-Man 3, because we all know what a disaster that movie was. So yeah, that's my review of Amazing Spider-Man. If anybody sees my review, please subscribe to my channel. Again, I'm still kind of working on getting some new equipment to change my camera and some lighting, and me and a buddy of mine, we're trying to build a set, get a more professional look going on, but those things are the work, so I got to do it the poor man's way. And please subscribe to my channel, and please, if you guys, anybody who sees this happen to love movies, please leave some comments and let's discuss and talk about movies. I'm not sure what my next movie review is going to be or what I'm going to talk about next, but it's going to be a surprise. It's going to be something cool. So, all right, Amazing Spider-Man 2. Summer's off to a pretty good start. All right.